Hello, everybody. I'm David Frangioni, CEO of Modern Drummer, and we're here for another episode of the Modern Drummer podcast, backstage. And we're so excited today to welcome Jack Lawless. Jack,
what's up?
Good to see you.
How you doing, sir?
All right. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So you're on tour with the Jonas Brothers.
Yes.
And you've played with the Jonas Brothers, and not only as the entity of the three brothers, but also their solo acts for
Yes.
how many years now?
Well, I fell backwards into the gig in 2006 when I was going to school. Their drummer quit in the middle of the tour, and they called my buddy, and my buddy was like, I can't do it, but call this kid. And I literally, they called me on a Tuesday, and I showed up on a Thursday and did it just on the bus touring.
All right. So I want to hear the whole story. Let's back up to how we got to the point where you were ready and that you could do that. So how did the drums start in your life? Where did you grow up, and how and when did you find drumming?
I grew up in New Jersey, and I think ever since I was old enough to watch MTV and stuff, I was always I want to do that, and I was always,
it was in your blood. Yeah,
it's that clicked in my head. And then when I was in third grade, I did like concert band, and at that point it was oh, okay, I can do this, and got a drum kit. And then basically from middle school until now, I'm 36 years old. I've been in some sort of band with my friends.
So third grade, it started that early, and your parents were supportive then. If they got you a kit that soon.
Well, they weren't right away. I had started with the drum pad. Right. I don't think I got a kit until sixth grade.
Oh, because they saw that you were sticking with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at that point,
my parents did the same thing.
Yeah,
and I started pad, phone books, tables, pots and pans, toy drums that broke the paper head.
Totally.
And then when they saw that I wasn't giving up, because as kids, how do they know?
Yeah,
right?
they finally
go through
caved.
So many different things. They caved, and I got a real used kit. Yeah. What was your first kit?
My first kit was a Tama Rockstar.
Oh,
actually,
nice.
I take that back. It was a groove percussion. A silver groove percussion. And then I got a Tama Rockstar shortly after that.
And so what happens as you go through your youth? What's the next? Did you take lessons? Who was inspiring you?
I did take lessons. I was also always inspired by just rock bands. I didn't really have any musicians in the family or anything like that. I just, I saw Nirvana, Blink-182, all these great bands. And I was starting a band with my friends in middle school was the best thing I ever did. But I did take private lessons on top of that, which helped me greatly.
And what were you studying back then?
I had all the standard books. I feel like I had the Stick Control, Buddy Rich, Realistic Rock. Mm-hmm. I still have them too. It's so funny. I got I'll go back and look at it, and it's a page from 2001 that's has 4 different dates on it because I I couldn't figure it out,
And you learned when you were in school, you learned how to read then.
Yes, yeah.
And so then that evolved. And what was the first big break?
Before Jonas Brothers, I would say meeting the guy who got me the Jonas Brothers gig. So he's this guy, John Liedersdorf. Okay. He's the man. He's runs a great studio in Asbury Park.
Okay.
And
drummer.
Okay. Yep. He played drums on their first record. But when I was in high school, my band would record in his basement.
Wow.
And
so he goes back your whole life. Basically.
Yes. So John.
How did you meet him?
Through the band I was in. One of my high school bands was Asbury Park based, and we would rehearse in my friend Sal's basement. And through Sal, we started recording at John's place. And then 2 years later, I got asked he asked me if I want to be in this band. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll do anything, In
the Jonas Brothers band.
Yes.
So you were in college at that point?
I was in college. Yeah. When I got asked, I was in my first semester of college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you get the call, you're on the bus a few days later.
Yes.
Did you know the music already?
I had a week to prepare. I had a sound check with the guys, and that's about it.
And how did the first gig go?
Well enough where they didn't fire me right away. So,
good. Well, it doesn't seem like they fired you at all, right? Unless there's more to the story. No. Tell us.
It was certainly like rough, but like I remember like a guitar player like doing this stuff to me, like trying to like direct me and
give you
stuff.
The cues.
Yeah.
Well, how did you prepare and learn for it so that you did get through that gig?
Well, I mean, back then I was like I had a CD of the songs.
Were you charting them out?
A little bit. And John Liedersdorf loaned me a nice pair of headphones because I didn't even have those at the time. And I would just shed the CDs and I would write it out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think the days before I did it enough to feel comfortable. And then
you knew the songs.
Yeah. I mean, for me particularly too, it's like I'm never fully comfortable until I'm playing it with the people. You know, it's like.
Thank you for watching and supporting everything Modern Drummer is up to. Hit the subscribe button down below. It means so much to us because we can keep bringing you the best drummers and content all the time. And please check out our shop. We've got Legends books. We've got back issues. We've got swag. Everything the drumming community could want. And it's so exciting to have you guys be the best part of it. Once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of the video. How did you deal with the mental side of it? Going in, you know the tunes that you feel like, okay, I can get through the songs, but now you got to make sure your head's together and that you don't get so nervous that you start making mistakes you wouldn't normally make.
Right. I feel like all the stuff I've done has led up to this, you know? Like I felt like I was good enough and I could do it. Even then.
Because you're still very, very young at that point.
Yes. But and back then, like if it was the gig it is now, I'd be a lot more nervous. But I was fortunate to like not really know what I was.
What's the big difference between then and now? You weren't playing as big of places?
We were playing high schools and clubs.
Oh, okay. Oh, a lot smaller.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that was literally the beginning of their launch. Okay.
It was they had been doing it for about a year at that point.
Okay.
And things hadn't really happened yet.
I see.
So a year later, we were doing amphitheaters.
Right. It happened quick.
It did happen quick.
But at least from your experience, you were able to just not have the same level of what I'll call a magnifying glass. Totally. As you get to the bigger places, it just gets scarier and scarier.
In my head, it was like, this is just another band I'm in now, because I was, all I want to do is play in bands. So
right. And it was the brothers, right? All three touring.
Yep.
And how'd you get along? How'd you fit in? How did it go?
It was honestly like so easy. The guys they're wonderful guys. We kind of like Kevin's my age, so like, I mean, I hit it off with all of them right away. But like Kevin would be like, "Come with me, let's go get coffee." I guess like we were all. I mean, I was 19, so like But it was pretty easy, and like the bass player and other guitar player at the time were also like we're all still working together.
Right. And so that gig evolves. The places get bigger.
Yes.
And what's the big lesson that you're learning along the way? When you look back, what's a big one?
I feel like the most important thing is to that's funny. The first big tour we did was opening for Miley Cyrus. It was the arenas. And I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. And her guitar player was like, yeah, man, it's sweet. He's like, just don't be a jerk. No one wants to work with a jerk, like that kind of thing. Like we're all living together. We're all in this together. Like,
so it was attitude.
Yeah. It's like
personality, if you will, how you gel.
I know I'm not the best drummer in the world. I'm not a virtuoso by any means, but like the hang is very important.
And you think about it, out of the 24 hours, even if you play a super long set, 2 hours, 2.5 hours would be like a marathon for most groups for a set.
Yeah.
So that leaves, 21 to 22 hours minimum of non-playing.
Yeah.
That you have to coexist.
Being on time, like that kind of stuff too. Yeah. Like,
so those are the biggest lessons, was just the professional side that wasn't about drumming, so to speak, but it certainly was about professionalism.
Yes. And, I'm still learning lessons every day too. Like, it's just it's a lifelong thing. So it's always changing and,
we're going to do a rundown that everyone's going to see as its own video. And I noticed, not to give away the rundown, but it's a small kit, right? Do you have any electronics integrated, or is it strictly acoustic?
Just acoustic.
Okay, so have you always played what I'll call a basic kind of Ringo kit?
Yeah. So I mean, I've had like an SPD, you know, from time to time,
Augmented.
Yeah, and some pads and stuff. But like for me and like what we do, it's like, believe it or not, it's like it's a lot more of a rock and roll show. It's a very pop show, but like it's
grooves.
I like
as opposed to a lot of fills.
I like to focus on the meat and potato, like drum parts, and like, you know, if there's like a clap or something, I'll leave it to the track because that's going to do it better than I would anyway, because it's a fake robot sound, you know?
Right.
So like I tend to.
So you have to play every song to a click?
Not everything, but most of it. It's, you know, with lighting and stuff, it's all synced these days.
Was it the same that first tour? Were you playing to clicks?
We did have a click. It was a much more primitive way to do it. I think it was like off an iPad or something.
But your ability to play to a click, you had already learned that. Then.
That probably got me the gig. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Yeah.
How did you prepare for that? Why were you playing to a click? And I think it's a must for drummers to do that,
absolutely.
by the way. Yeah. But some drummers don't. So how was it that you did?
I think my two things, my middle school band director, I still think about him like looking at him going like, you're going too fast. You're going too slow. You know, it's just like made me conscious of like tempo. Not just what I'm playing, what everything else in the room is doing. Everyone else in the room is
a great lesson.
Yeah. And it's like, and then, like I remember taking a lesson with this guy, Frank Dupree in New Jersey, my old private teacher, great guy. You know, we do all like the Buddy Rich, like, you know, like the, whatever the rudiments and all that stuff. And they'd be like, try playing it to a click once. And it just like blew my mind. I was like, whoa, like this is so different. It's like a totally different thing. And recorded a lot too with some high school bands. So
even though you found it was very challenging, you didn't give up on it. You said, okay, I'm going to conquer this.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to do this, understanding its importance.
Yes, absolutely.
Of solid meter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how long did it take you to get up to speed on it?
No, I don't think I really struggled too hard with it, mainly because I think I was always aware, even back before I knew really what the thing was. Mm-hmm. And recording in my buddy Dave's basement, like it just worked, you know?
Now, once you were with Jonas Brothers and you guys are gigging, things were evolving, when do you make the move from Jersey to LA?
That was pretty early. It was about a year and a half in. I think all the guys had moved out, and me and the bass player Greg we were having lunch in like London on tour. We're just like, this is crazy. We're still doing it, but it was like everyone's out in LA. Like we should probably be around, you know. Right. And we moved out together, and that
was a big move.
Yeah, it was. Once again, at the time, I don't think I realized the significance of how big it was.
Right.
But I love it. I don't regret it.
And when you're out there, besides playing with Jonas,
mm-hmm.
I'll say as all Jonases,
yeah,
all configurations of their musical endeavors, you were doing sessions, and didn't you play on Demi Lovato's
I did,
album?
yeah.
How did that come about?
That was a Nick Jonas phone call. That was actually one of the reasons why I decided to move to LA. I was in town, and Nick called me. He was like, hey, come to the studio. Showed up, you know John Fields, like he produced you know, they were doing that record, and Nick was like, you want to play on one? Or they let me play on one. And I was like, well, this wouldn't have happened if I was in New Jersey. So I might as well.
And that happened a lot, I would imagine, in LA.
Yeah. I play
because that's where that's where it's happening. Right. So
yeah.
Things are very last minute in our business.
Yeah.
And so if you're not there, then somebody else has to play.
100%. It really helps to be in town for that thing. I mean, every situation's different, but yeah.
What's your favorite moment that you look back on now? I mean, you're still young, and your career has a long way to go, considering how far it's come. You still have a long runway ahead of you to play. I mean, thank God.
Yep. On wood, I hope so.
But up till now, what's a big great memory out of the Jonas years so far?
Well, I mean, we've done some pretty wild stuff. Like we played the Grammys with Stevie Wonder. Like that's a hard thing to top. Like that was crazy. Like we did
incredible.
Like back when they were doing like more like you had to perform with someone else, you know? This is like 2008, 2009. And we did one of our songs. We started with Superstition and then went into our song. But to get to play Superstition with Stevie Wonder, it's like
incredible.
It's mind blowing. And we got to rehearse with him and like it was incredible. He came out and like
that's a lifetime memory.
Yeah. Every time he played something completely different and crazy. And like if he would have sat there all night playing, if his people weren't like, all right, we got to go, you know. I've got to meet a lot of really interesting people, amazing, like Paul McCartney. Like I met him a couple times.
Oh,
like
that's incredible.
We went and saw him at the Hollywood Bowl, and went like that like years ago when first time he had played there since the Beatles.
Oh.
And
the guys are big fans.
Yes, yes. So we all went, and then like our Live Nation rep is also Paul's Live Nation rep. So we're sitting there watching the show, and Brad comes by and he's like, "Hey, after party at the Four Seasons, we're all going." And I was like, "I'm not missing this," like, you know. So I go with another guy from the band. It's just the two of us. Actually, no, it's three of us. There's another guy too, and we get there. Somebody in Paul's camp sees us and is like, "You're with the Jonas Brothers, right?" And we're like, "Yeah." So like, come this way, and they let us in, and it's a tiny room. It's like not much bigger than this, and then we get word that none of the other guys are going. It's just the three of us, and we're like, "Oh no, are we allowed to be here?" And sure enough, like everyone was cool with us being there, but it was really just like Paul, his band. So I met Abe, sweet dude, and then like their families. And towards the end of the night, got a word in with Paul. It was really cool. He was like telling me all about Hamburg, and like you think he wouldn't want to talk about the Beatles,
right,
but like
right.
Is just the greatest guy. You know?
That's another incredible memory talking about the Beatles and Hamburg with Paul. That's incredible. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for being part of the Modern Drummer community. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, man. It's an honor.
Modern Drummer. Check out Jack on tour with the Jonas Brothers, and then you're going out as well with one of the solo acts coming up, right?
Well, yeah, we got a Joe record coming up, so we'll probably do some of that. Maybe some Nick stuff.
Amazing.
There's another brother, Frankie. I'm trying to get in that band too, so we'll figure that out.
All right, I love it. It's all things Jonas on the Modern Drummer podcast. Thank you guys for being here as always. I'm David Frangioni. We'll see you again soon.